Thanks for joining us here on Speed News Australia. Well, last week we brought you part one of our feature interview with Australia's greatest ever motorsport export, Sir Jack Brabham. In our second instalment, we explore the birth of the legendary Brabham team and its founder's journey to his very unique third world title. Speed reporter Richard Bayliss picks up the story.
More than 50 years after claiming back-to-back World Drivers' Championships for the Cooper team, Jack Brabham is settled on the Gold Coast. In sharp contrast to the continent-hopping lifestyle he once led, the 86-year-old now remains in the country, for which he's arguably achieved more than any other athlete.
Well, nothing exciting, apart from a bit of travelling interstate and that sort of thing. But I don't go overseas anymore. I'm afraid I can't do that because of my eyesight. But the fact that I'm on dialysis, that takes up 3 days a week.
Overcoming hurdles, though, is certainly nothing new. At the age of 34, Brabham was faced with the reality that defending his 1960 crown would be impossible, with engine supplier Coventry Climax slow in reacting to new regulations.
They changed the formula to 1500, and we didn't have a 1500 engine that was any good, and Ferrari did. So Ferrari took over that period, really.
The Italians, along with BRM and Lotus, seized the initiative, which presented the perfect opportunity for Brabham's own team, set up with friend Ron Touranak, to enter Formula One. With the Climax 1.5-litre V8, it was a slow start in a troublesome 1962. But after claiming 3 podiums the following year, third place in the Constructors was a fine reward and evidence the team were heading in the right direction, albeit slowly.
Jack Brabham's been off into the rough in a stupendous effort to pass Surtees, but he thinks he's damaged the suspension. He comes in, they have a look round, and they can't find anything wrong, so he's off again without doing a blitz.
1964 was the year for Brabham Racing's maiden triumph, but it was American Dan Gurney piloting the BT11 to wins in France and Mexico.
Gurney, Hill, Surtees and Brabham.
As Jim Clark and Lotus swept aside the opposition in 65, Brabham considered retirement. But with a 3-litre formula approaching and Gurney opting to start his own Eagle team, the Brabham outfit needed an experienced leader.
We were hoping for a change in formula again, which they were talking about, and eventually we got that change of formula, and that gave us the opportunity to get the engine together and the car.
Their secret weapon from so far away, no one could have possibly seen it coming.
Certainly staggered everybody overseas to see an engine come from Australia.
As Ferrari, BRM, Maserati and Honda developed engines with at least 12 cylinders, Brabham asked Australian company Repco to produce a lightweight V8.
Combination of the two, we were back in the winning circle again.
Jack Brabham's car is an unknown quantity at this moment.
At Reims in France, that history-making moment arrived.
Jack, driving number 12, is the first driver ever to win a world title event in a car of his own construction.
2 weeks later, he took his first pole in 5 years before making it 2 in a row.
Jack is proving that he's not too old at 40.
Though still not everyone was convinced of that.
The press were giving me a hard time because I'd turned 40. And they were naming me as the old man of motor racing. And there's a few odd quotes like that, but when we went to Sandford, I just happened to be going down the street and saw a beard for sale, false beard. So I rushed in and bought that. And the next day, when we were going out for the race, I put the beard on and I took the jack handle and used that as a step and hobbled out to the car. And of course that attracted a lot of press. And that would have backfired on me, but luckily I won the race. If I hadn't won the race, I think I'd have really copped it in the press.
Here he wins the Dutch Grand Prix and more points towards his World Championship.
A remarkable series of wins.
3 became 4 when on a wet August day, not even the fearsome green hell of Germany's Nürburgring would deny a man on his way to a very special third world title.
The only man ever to win the World Driving Championship in a car of his own design.
Greatest success story in the history of international motor racing.
No, it was very special, really, because to build an engine in Australia is virtually unheard of. Now, you don't do that sort of thing. We did. We not only built the engine, but we won with it as well. So that was fantastic.
The Australian of the Year honour, a fitting reward for a man again on top of the world.
Jack has also been invested with the OBE by the Queen of England during this fantastic year.
In that era, of course, it was a big thing. And being Australian of the Year was a big thrill. I suppose when you look at it, I haven't done bad, have I?
Brabham narrowly missed the 67 title, with Denny Holm of New Zealand edging his teammate to conclude Repco Brabham's glory days, while the engine manufacturer left on the back of a poor 68 season and the rise of the Ford Cosworth DFV. The team was still very much on the cutting edge.
Yeah, the wings were certainly an asset to the speed of the car going around the circuit. But it was quite dangerous when the wing fell off.
Exploring the limit of aerodynamics, often by chance.
I had a wing fall off in South Africa, and I was very, very lucky to get away with it. And anyway, they stopped at the pits, and they took the rest of the wing off. And there was a gold watch for the fastest time in the straight. I won that easy. Because the wing gone.
No, I think this is probably going to be the best season we've had for many a year.
And 1970 was, with his final win coming in South Africa. The 44-year-old was still competitive, with only a mistake while leading on the last corner of the last lap in Monaco, denying him another.
Jack Brabham for me.
The sport's still a cruel beast in many ways. Before the race, Brabham was pictured here with Bruce McLaren, Jochen Rindt and Piers Courage. Before the year is out, all three were dead.
In the time I drove, there was 30 drivers killed. I knew most of them. My family were getting a bit itchy about me being out there. So they took me to retiring.
To traverse the skies and cross the globe in a time when both were bigger tasks, and climb to the summit along a course most arduous. To drive through the flames and emerge on the other side with a hunger yet unsatisfied. And to be the lone hand in a craft no one else could ever master. Was to become, in a pursuit that swallows most, immortal.
You've got to have this talent, if you like, which is really born in you. It's not something you can learn easy. Either you can do it or you can't. And it's as simple as that. It was pretty hard work really to start with. But anyway, eventually I got on top of them and got there in the end.
Yeah, Yes, an amazing racing career of an Australian icon and a legend of world motorsport. Join us next week for the final part of the series as Sir Jack reflects on his achievements after retiring and gives his thoughts on the modern era of Formula One. You won't want to miss it. All right, still plenty to come. We look at this weekend's big World Superbike race in Portimao.